For the past 4 months, I'd been working non-stop, using nothing but caffeine and unbridled resolve as my compass. All of my actions, all of the sacrifices I'd made, all of the late nights and early mornings, I had dedicated a significant amount of time to a monumental undertaking that I thought would propel my career to new levels. Can you still feel the searing pain in your eyes from gazing at spreadsheets for hours on end? Rather than spending time with loved ones, I spent my weekends glued to my computer, missing out on the peaceful solitude that comes with being away from work. All my efforts had been directed toward a singular goal, a single opportunity that held the key to my future. As I sat at my desk, my heart racing with excitement, I reread the email for what seemed like an eternity. The message was crystal clear. Liam, for the 10th time, you went above and beyond. This is a personal thank you. Enjoy the game. And attached to that email was confirmation of something I had only ever dreamed of. 2 Super Bowl tickets. Front, row, 40-yard line. Right in the thick of it all. I couldn't help but feel a wave of joy as I stared at the digital certificate. Every restless night, every moment of uncertainty, every sacrifice, it had all been worth it. My hands trembled slightly as I printed out the email, attentively scrutinizing every detail over and over again. The client, whose faith in me had given me the resolve to push through when everything seemed impossible, had forwarded the tickets to Elena McCarthy. Elena, the CEO. The woman who not only managed the company's crucial client ties, but was also the person I loved more than anything in this world. It made sense. Elena handled the logistics of corporate gifts. In some small way, I had expected she would be the one to collect the tickets on my behalf. In my mind's eye, I had already pictured the moment she would walk into my office, her eyes beaming with pride and joy, softly handing me those prized tickets, a simple gesture that would legitimize all the blood, sweat, and tears I had shed over the past few months. That was the vision that fueled my untiring labor, day in and day out. However, as I sat there, clutching the printed email, the silence of my office was deafening. That ideal moment had never come to pass. The space around me felt heavier than ever, as the realities of corporate politics and the unpredictable nature of business struck me hard. It was a moment of bittersweet victory. A reward that marked a long journey of determination, but also a harsh reminder that the road to success is riddled with unanticipated twists. Twists that could turn a dream into a silent, unsaid wish. In that instant, with the glow of my computer, screen illuminating the darkened room, and my pulse still racing with anticipation for what should have been, I came to a realization. Sometimes, the prize isn't just about the tangible proof of victory, it's about the recognition of the struggle, a quiet resolve built within me, a determination to stand by what I had worked so diligently to achieve, even if it meant facing unforeseen challenges and navigating the murky waters of workplace dynamics. Every fiber of my being was now electrified, with the energy of a man who had poured his soul into a project, only to see his hard-earned reward ensnared in a web of complications. Despite the uncertainty, despite the silent question of what now, one thing remained true. I had deserved every bit of this hard-won triumph, and nothing would take away the pride I felt in that very moment. As they were meant for me, a murmur of discontent rose from those gathered, and I could feel the room closing in on Elena. The client's disappointment was evident as he addressed her directly. Elena, your actions not only breach our ethical standards, but also erode the trust that is the core of our business. This is not a small oversight, but a major infraction, I observed calmly as her confident exterior collapsed, her eyes darting around in quest of an escape that wasn't there. Every word stated in that room proved what I had known all along, that her treachery was more than a mere misjudgment. It was a deliberate move that had now backfired spectacularly. As the conference dragged on, questions piled up, and the evidence against her grew irrefutable. Colleagues exchanged expressions of shock and dismay, and the atmosphere was thick with the understanding that the balance of power had shifted irrevocably. I felt a quiet vindication as the client's final words resonated in the hushed room. Actions have repercussions, and trust once lost is impossible to recover. In that moment, I knew that the revenge I had long expected had been delivered. Not through overt conflict, but through the undeniable truth laid plain for everyone to see. As the meeting concluded and the room slowly cleared, I sat silently, absorbing the seriousness of what had transpired. My heart was heavy with a mix of sorrow for what had been lost and relief that justice had, in some measure, been served. I left the room with a renewed sense of purpose, vowing to regain not only my reputation but also the respect I had battled so hard to earn. Today signified a turning point, a day when accountability prevailed, and the penalty of betrayal was made plain. The morning's revelations would resound long after the echoes of the meeting faded, reminding me that genuine appreciation comes only when integrity is preserved, no matter how steep the price. Elena sat frozen in her seat, her normal sharp wit, the effortless confidence she carried into every room, was gone. In its place was something I had never seen in her before: dread, real, undeniable terror, the kind that grips a person when they realize they are imprisoned, with no way out. The client moved forward, his voice disturbingly calm. "So, Elena," he said, his fingers tapping against the table in slow, deliberate motions, "who was this customer you took to the game?" Stillness. I watched as Elena's fingers curled around the edge of the conference table, holding on so firmly her knuckles turned white. She began, then stopped. The lie she had prepared wasn't coming out. She was unraveling. Olivia, the VP of Corporate Partnerships, folded her arms. "Elena," she said, her voice sweet but forceful, "you need to answer the question." Elena swallowed hard. There were a lot of moving parts," she stammered. "I made a decision in the best interest of the company." "The name, Elena," Olivia interjected coldly. Elena's throat worked as she swallowed again. Beads of sweat formed along her hairline. She was out of time. Eventually, with a breathless sort of resignation, she said, "It wasn't a client." The weight of her words sent a ripple of shock through the room. A few people exchanged glances. Others simply stared, waiting for her to explain. The client sat back, dissatisfied. "So, you lied," he said, his tone dripping with disgust. "You used tickets meant for Liam to take who? A friend?" Elena's lips parted, then pressed shut again. The silence was all the confirmation we needed. I sat, silently watching it all unfold, feeling a peculiar blend of satisfaction and regret. This wasn't simply a mistake. It was a catastrophic failure of judgment. The client sighed, shaking his head. "Elena," he stated, "we've had a solid working relationship for years. But this is a breach of trust, and in business, trust is everything." Elena's hands trembled slightly as she placed them on the table. "I didn't mean—" "You did mean," the client cut in. "You accepted a reward meant for someone else, manipulated the situation, and when challenged, you lied. That's not leadership, Elena. That's greed." I saw it then, the exact moment she realized how bad this was. Her body sagged slightly, her shoulders dropping. Olivia turned to me. "Liam," she said, her expression unreadable, "I'd like to clarify one thing. When Elena informed you that the tickets were being redistributed, did she convey it as corporate policy?" I kept my voice steady. "No. She reminded me in no uncertain terms that they were hers, that I should be grateful I had a job." A murmur rippled through the room. Someone let out a low whistle. Elena's eyes snapped to me, and for a second I saw raw panic behind them. She had misread me. She had expected I would take the loss quietly. She was wrong. Olivia nodded as if she had anticipated that answer. Then she turned back to Elena. "Do you have anything to say for yourself?" Elena opened her mouth, then closed it.